Thank you, Senator Round. Senator Smith of Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome to Secretary Yellen and to Chair Powell. I'm going to direct my questions to Secretary Yellen today, and I'd like to start with the question of emergency rental assistance. So I think we have all seen that the pandemic has not been a great equalizer. It has laid bare the deep inequities in our society, particularly, I would argue, in housing. With COVID, we're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. What this looks like in Minnesota is the following. There are about 60,000 families in Minnesota that are behind on rent. And to support those families, we all worked hard here in Congress to get them emergency rental assistance. So far, however, only about 15,000 families have received help through Minnesota's emergency rental assistance program, and that's not nearly good enough. And this is particularly troubling because about 2/3 of these families are families of color and indigenous families. So if this program isn't working, it's disproportionately hurting them. So Secretary Yellen, here's my question. I appreciate that Treasury has worked hard to clear away the red tape at the federal level to make this program work better, and I appreciate that this is being run at the state level and often also at the local level. What can you tell us about what you are doing to make sure that renters aren't hurt as Treasury approaches this recapturing of emergency rental assistance funds?
Well, we want to make sure that renters are helped, and we've been, as you noted, working hard to provide the support to state and local governments to put in place effective programs, but the ERA 1 statute requires Treasury to begin reallocating excess funds that will be required as of September 30th, and Treasury is developing a procedure to govern that process. We want to make sure that localities with demonstrated need receive additional funds, and that they come from places that are not running effective programs or have less need. And we will be looking at reallocation in order to improve the effectiveness of the program.
Secretary Yellen, in Minnesota, about 30,000 applications remain to be processed, which is a sign, I think, of the great need in our state. Can Treasury approach this looking at these large backlogs of applications that are remaining to be processed, that are, in other words, sort of, in the system right now as you're working on this?
I mean, we will look at backlogs. We will look at the effectiveness with which states and local governments have gotten out the rental assistance that they have. We want to see, before additional funds are made available, that the ones that are available have been allocated effectively. But if that's true and there's clearly additional need, then those places would be eligible to receive additional funds.
Thank you. I appreciated in your opening statement that you talked about the mammoth task of standing up an infrastructure at the state and local level in order to distribute this rental assistance. And as you move forward with this following the law, we need to make sure that the folks that are really needing the help aren't the ones that are getting penalized because of slower than we would have liked implementation of this program. So I appreciate your comments, and I look forward to continuing to work with you on this as well.
Very good. We do as well.
I just have about a minute left, and I want to just touch briefly on the question of child care. We know that child care is a family and an economic imperative, and I'm really grateful to the work that you have been doing. I appreciated very much the Treasury's recent report on the child care supply challenge and the great difficulties we have here. Secretary Yellen, Minnesota child care providers tell me that they are really struggling to find and keep workers. They're painfully aware that they are not able to pay their workers as much as they are worth, and as a result, many people, there's high turnover in the sector. Now, when most businesses encounter challenges in hiring, they raise wages to attract people, but of course that's not. Could you just explain to everybody why that is not a feasible option for folks that are trying to make this system work in the childcare sector?
Well, in many ways, this is a market, and this is what the Treasury report showed, that just doesn't work. That parents, when they most need child care, are unable to borrow in order to cover it. And so they're struggling with very high child care expenses at a moment in their lifetime when they can often simply not afford it. And that puts the child care providers in a situation where they just can't afford to pay wages that are living wages. And in fact, a substantial fraction of child care workers receive some additional social support because the wages are so low. And we really need to fix that. It's a broken market, and there are huge gains to society for making sure that children have quality child care, and it influences the course of their success over their whole lives.
Well, thank you for that. And Mr. Chair, I know we're out of time, but we have a solution to this problem that is included in the Build Back Better plan that President Biden has proposed and that we've been working on in the Senate and the House. And I look forward to getting that solution passed in the law to address these systemic problems in child care. Thank you.